Hello children, we have a very beautiful story today. Imagine अगर zoo में से कोई जानवर बाहर आपके घर में आ जाए. ऐसा possible है क्या? Let us see in this story what happens. Lion eats the cake. वैसे lion कभी केक खाते हैं? I don't know. It started with a drizzle and then it poured and poured. It started on Friday evening and continued the whole night, and then it continued the whole of Saturday with no respite. Everything was wet around and quite gloomy too. जब बारिश होती है शुरू में तो बहुत अच्छा लगता है, लेकिन अगर एक दिन, 2 दिन और तीसरे दिन भी अगर लेटस से पहुंच जाए बारिश कंटिन्यूसली होती रहे तो थोड़ा सा सैड तो हो ही जाता है. And the children were the most troubled. Moksh and Isha wanted to go out and play in the open courtyard under the falling drops of rain, but Mummy did not allow them. It has been raining for a little too long and it is quite cold too, she commanded. Be in your room, do anything you like, watch television, read books, do your homework or even fight. But sorry, no going out. We have finished the homework, protested Moksh. And the television is running all old programs, retorted Isha. We are being badly bored up, said Moksh. There is nothing exciting ever since the winter holidays have started, said Isha. Okay, said Mummy. I'll do something to cheer you up. What about a cake? From Crown Bakers? No. Hot and delicious. I will bake it myself, said Mummy. Agreed, the 2 children shouted together. The children helped too. The cake was yummy and they ate it hot. The rest they covered and left on the dining table. Imagine, इतनी ठंड में गरम गरम घर का बना हुआ ताज़ा केक किसको अच्छा नहीं लगेगा? I can't see any birds on the tree, said Moksh. They are certainly there, replied Isha, but they must be hidden in their nests, much like us. वो भी बारिश से छुप गए होंगे. And what about the wild animals? The tigers in the jungles, the rabbits in the holes. What do they do in all this rain? At least they are free. Think of the zoo animals. How awful they must be. It was no doubt true. The animals in the zoo were worried and irritable. The rain seemed to fall to infinity. Wetness had engulfed them all, big and small. इतनी बारिश पड़ रही थी. बड़े हों छोटे हों, सभी animals परेशान हो रहे थे. The lion was no exception. He sat in his den and looked up now and then. The roof was leaking at a number of places. Wetness had given him a terrible feeling, so he thought of walking out in the lashing rain. The moat around the lion's enclosure had filled up too. जितने भी वाइल्ड एनिमल्स होते हैं ज़ू में, उनके केज में जहाँ पे जिस ज़मीन पर होते हैं उसके साथ में एक गड्ढा बहुत गहरा खोदा रहता है ताकि वो उसको पार करके बाहर ना जा सकें. दैट इज़ कॉल्ड अ मोट. तो बारिश में वो गड्ढा भी जो चारों तरफ था पूरा भर गया था. ही लुक्ड अराउंड. ही हैड ऑलवेज सीन द डिप्रेशन अराउंड हिज डेन, बट दिस वाटर लेवल सीम्ड टू टेल हिम दैट ही कुड वॉक अक्रॉस. I think I can find some place where I can save myself from the rain, said the lion to himself. He was an old fellow who had never been out of the enclosure. कभी भी अपने केज से बाहर नहीं गया था. He decided to walk across the moat. He sniffed here and he sniffed there. He put one paw into the water with one big breath. It seemed to go down. He thought for a while what he could do, and then he tried to jump right across, but he fell in the moat. कोशिश तो करी कि उसको पार कर जाए जंप करके, लेकिन वो बीच में गिर गया. At first he sank down and down. He panicked. but then he hit the bottom and he hit it with all his force. For one awful moment, he thought that he was going to die. First, his mighty head popped up and then he paddled along until he could feel the wall just under his chin. उसको पहले तो लगा कि वो गया, लेकिन उसका सिर पानी के बाहर आ गया और वो थोड़ा पानी में चल के बाहर की वॉल की तरफ पहुंचा. Putting his big paws onto the wall, he heaved himself up. Then he looked about. He was on the other side of the moat. Yes, he was out and free. Free to walk around the world for the first time in life, just as he had seen hundreds of people do. It was going to be the adventure of a lifetime. जब वो कभी केज से बाहर ही नहीं गया था, तो adventure of a lifetime तो हुआ ना इसके लिए. No one saw him, for it was night and all the zookeepers were fast asleep. The lion walked out softly. Should he draw somebody's attention? He knew he could well be punished too, as he remembered a terrible punishment when he bit a zookeeper. He grinned at the bear, who woke up with a start, and then he walked to the main gate. It was still raining, but it was no more than a drizzle now. It looked very pleasant. The lion could smell a human. He carefully peered into the ticket booth. Sure enough, the guard sat there. The lion was a clever old fellow and knew that the guard would not let him just walk out. So he waited and watched. The guard didn't move. He snored gently. खराटे मार रहा था. When the lion was sure that the man was fast asleep, he stole away softly. Yes, now he was free, absolutely free. He walked around, looking with wonder at the big black wet road. उसने कभी ये देखी ही नहीं थी. He stared up at the high buildings and he sniffed at people huddled up on the pavement under some balconies or subways. कुछ लोग घरों की balconies या जो subways होते हैं उनके छत के नीचे इकट्ठे होकर के बैठे हुए थे. They were all asleep in the driest corners they could find. In one house along the street, one little child in his bedroom was not willing to sleep and was looking out of the window. "Papa," he whispered, "there's a lion on the loose." "Yes, yes," said his papa sleepily. "He will go away. Now close your eyes." सोचिए, सड़क पे अगर हमें कभी शेर नज़र आ जाए तो हमारा क्या रिएक्शन होगा? एनीवेज, शायद ये पापा कुछ ज़्यादा ही नींद में थे. The lion walked on. This was the longest walk that he had ever had. He walked on and on. He did not know what he was looking for. And now he was one very wet, hungry and tired lion. It being the government, इतना तो वो अपनी लाइफ में नहीं चला था कभी. In the zoo, he got food just without doing anything. He got it regularly at fixed times. Now he had to manage it himself. He was thinking what was better, freedom or easy food. As he walked through a street, he suddenly caught the smell of freshly baked cake. He had never smelled anything so invitingly warm and warmly inviting. मतलब उसने कभी ऐसी कोई स्मेल सूंघी ही नहीं थी. कभी उसको नहीं पता था कि केक होता भी क्या है. Sniff, sniff, sniff. He found the window to Moksh and Isha's room open. Quickly, quietly, he jumped right in. The children were fast asleep in their soft, warm beds, and he felt like getting in with them. ठंड थी ना बहुत. But first he had to find out where that delicious smell was coming from. For sniff, sniff, sniff. With his large and sharp nose, he took no time to find the cake. He did not need his sharp lion's teeth. He quickly gulped it down. भाई केक इतना सॉफ्ट होता है कि वो जो उसके लायन वाले शार्प टीथ थे उनकी तो नीड ही नहीं पड़ी. सीधा उसने गटक लिया. It was delicious. Not like the smelly raw meat he got every morning and evening. आम तौर पर शेर जानवर का मीट रॉ कच्चा ही तो खाते हैं, but a cake was so different and delicious. It was delicious, not like the smelly raw meat he got every morning and evening. भाई शेर जानवरों का मीट ही तो खाते हैं, वो भी कच्चा. This cake was different. It was so delicious. And now he was feeling sleepy. भाई इतना लंबा चले, फिर इतना delicious केक खाया, अब नींद आ रही थी. Slipping back into the children's room, he tried to get into Isha's bed, but it was too small for him. So he crawled under the bed and found it wonderfully cozy and just right for one big lion. Soon he was fast asleep. Next morning, Mummy woke up only to find the cake missing. The children must have eaten it, she said to herself. But then she felt it better to ask them. Did you eat the cake? No, Mummy. Then who could it have been? It must have been the lion, said Isha. What? Lion? Don't be silly. अगर आप अपनी मम्मी को घर में बोले कि शायद एक शेर आकर के केक खा गया, तो आपकी मम्मी भी शायद बिलीव नहीं करेंगी. She is not being silly, said Mukesh. There is indeed a lion under our bed. What? Shouted Mummy, startled out of her wits. And she climbed up Isha's bed in one clean leap. She was fully scared. कोई भी डरेगा भाई. But finding no movement below, she peeped down. There was no lion there. Oh, children, she said crossly, you gave me a fright. Now tell me where the cake is. The children protested and showed her the footmarks on the carpet and on the bed, and lion's hair on the floor. Still, Mummy found it hard to believe them because they could not find the lion anymore. And do you know why? The lion had a good snooze and decided to get back to his cage before the sun was out. So he had slipped away and no one saw him going. He slipped past the guard who still lay asleep and swam back into his cage. What an adventure it had been, but he was glad to be home. The next Sunday, Moksh and Isha forced Daddy to take them to the zoo. As they stopped before the lion's den, they were trying to recognize him. And the lion was looking at them too. They were sure the lion had recognized them as he gave a loud roar. These days, he is missing freedom because he does not get the cake, oh, the delicious cake. थी ना इंटरेस्टिंग स्टोरी.